Hi, I'm Estelle. You know those moments when your entire life shifts? Mine was at my college graduation, right as I stepped off the stage with my diploma in hand, beaming with pride after 4 years of working two jobs while maintaining a 3.9 GPA. There's my baby girl, my roommate Zoe called out, waving frantically as she snapped photos. I smiled, scanning the crowd for my parents, spotting them near the back. Dad's face was twisted into that familiar scowl, Mom beside him with her perpetually anxious smile. Estelle? Dad's voice boomed as I approached. What was that pathetic handshake with the dean? Couldn't even look him in the eye properly? I was just nervous, Dad. It's a big day and... The slap came out of nowhere, his palm connecting with my cheek in front of everyone. The sound echoed in my ears as graduates and families around us froze. 4 years of tuition for a liberal arts degree? What a waste, he spat, his voice rising. You'll be living in our basement until you're 40. Mom let out that high-pitched laugh she always used when Dad lost his temper in public. Oh, Richard, not here, she whispered, still giggling nervously. Mrs. Cooper, are you seriously laughing right now? Zoe stepped between us, her voice shaking with rage. Mind your business, young lady, Dad growled, pointing a finger in her face. This is family business. Professor Martinez appeared at my side, her hand on my shoulder. Everything okay here, Estelle? No, everything is not okay, I said, finding my voice. My father just assaulted me at my college graduation. Assaulted? Dad scoffed. Don't be so dramatic. I've disciplined you your entire life, and look how you turned out anyway. Richard, please, Mom tugged at his sleeve. People are staring. Let them stare, he shouted. Let them see what a disappointment looks like. Security is on their way, Professor Martinez said calmly, her phone in hand. My cousin Trent pushed through the crowd. Uncle Rich, Aunt Helen, what's happening? Your cousin is being dramatic, as usual, Mom said with a dismissive wave. She's always been sensitive. Sensitive? I touched my cheek, still stinging. He hit me in public and you're laughing. I saw it happen, a woman said, stepping forward. I have it on video. Dad's face darkened. Delete that right now, or I'll... You'll what? The woman raised an eyebrow. Assault me too? Campus security arrived, led by Officer Wilson, who I knew from my work-study job. Estelle, you okay? He asked, concern in his eyes. No, I said, tears finally breaking free. I'm not okay. This is ridiculous, Dad snarled. We're leaving. Estelle, when you're done with your little tantrum, you know where to find us? Actually, sir, Officer Wilson said, I need you to stay right here while we sort this out. Sort what out? I disciplined my ungrateful daughter. That's not discipline, Professor Martinez said firmly. That's assault. It's been happening my entire life, I said quietly. This is just the first time it happened in public. What? Trent's eyes widened. Estelle, is that true? Mom's fake laugh returned. She's exaggerating. Richard has a temper, but he loves his daughter. Love doesn't leave bruises, Mrs. Cooper, Zoe said coldly, or make someone feel worthless. Estelle, Officer Wilson said gently, would you like to press charges? The crowd around us had grown silent, waiting for my answer. 22 years of enduring my father's rage and my mother's enabling flashed through my mind. Yes, I said finally. Yes, I would. The week after graduation was a blur of statements and paperwork. I sat across from Detective Reyes in a small room at the police station, still wearing Zoe's oversized sweater like armor. So, Estelle, I understand this wasn't an isolated incident? Detective Reyes asked, her pen hovering over her notepad. No, it's been... I struggled to find the words. My entire life, really. Take your time, she said, her voice gentle but firm. Start wherever feels right. I have a question first, I said, twisting my graduation ring. Is there a statute of limitations on child abuse? Depends on the state and type of abuse, she replied. But what happened at your graduation is recent and documented by multiple witnesses. So we're starting there. Zoe squeezed my hand under the table. Tell her about Christmas last year. Christmas, I nodded, the memory flooding back. Dad threw a wine bottle at me because I bought Mom the wrong perfume. It shattered against the wall. Mom told everyone at dinner I'd tripped and dropped it. Were there witnesses besides your mother? My aunt and uncle. They pretended not to see, like always. Detective Reyes nodded, writing something down. And your cousin Trent? Was he there? No, he was traveling that Christmas. That's why he seemed so shocked at graduation. He only saw the good version of my parents. The door opened, and Trent himself walked in, looking uncomfortable. Sorry I'm late, he said, dropping into a chair. Uncle Rich has been calling nonstop, demanding I talk sense into you. And what did you tell him? Zoe asked sharply. I told him I saw what happened with my own eyes, Trent replied, meeting my gaze. Estelle, I had no idea it was like this. All those times you didn't show up for family events? I thought you knew, I whispered. Everyone just pretended it wasn't happening. Not everyone knew, he insisted, but some did. Aunt Grace has photos from when you were 15, with bruises. She kept them in case you ever needed them. What? I felt like I'd been slapped again. She knew and did nothing? She tried talking to your mom once. Aunt Helen threatened to cut her out of the family. Detective Reyes leaned forward. Would your Aunt Grace be willing to share these photos now? She's already on her way, Trent said. Uncle Rich doesn't know. What about your mother, Estelle? Detective Reyes asked. Do you want to press charges against her as well? I hesitated. Mom had never hit me, but her laughter at my pain had cut just as deep. She enabled it, I said finally. She knew and did nothing. Worse, she covered for him. Made me feel crazy for being hurt. That's emotional abuse, Detective Reyes confirmed. And it can be part of the case. They're saying you're doing this for attention, Trent said quietly. That you're upset about them not paying for grad school? I laughed bitterly. They never paid for anything. I'm drowning in student loans. I pulled your parents' financial records, Detective Reyes said. The tuition payments came from your grandfather's trust. Did you know that? No, I said, stunned. They always said they were sacrificing everything for my education. There's more, she continued. There was money set aside specifically for graduate studies, nearly $50,000. What? I felt dizzy. Where is it? Your parents transferred it to their personal account 3 months ago. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. So they stole from me, I said finally. Can we add that to the charges? Absolutely, Detective Reyes nodded. Financial abuse is still abuse. Estelle, Trent leaned forward. What do you want out of this? I want them to face consequences, I said, my voice growing stronger. Real ones, not just family whispers that fade away. I want them to never be able to hurt me again. The courthouse hallway felt endless as I walked toward the mediation room, Professor Martinez and Zoe flanking me like guards. Remember, Professor Martinez said, you're not here to make peace. You're here to set boundaries. What if I can't face them? My steps slowed. Then we turn around and leave, Zoe said firmly. But you can do this, Estelle. I've never seen anyone stronger. We pushed through the doors to find my parents already seated with their lawyer, a slick-looking man in an expensive suit. Mom's eyes were red-rimmed, Dad's jaw clenched tight. Estelle! Mom rushed forward, arms outstretched. Baby, what are you doing? This isn't you. I stepped back. Don't touch me. That's enough, Helen, Dad snapped. Sit down. He turned to me with a practiced smile. Estelle, this has gone too far. We can work this out as a family. We're not a family, I said, taking my seat. We're an abuser, an enabler, and a victim. That's not a family. Dramatic as always, Dad rolled his eyes. One public slap, I corrected, after thousands of private ones. Your father has agreed to anger management, their lawyer interjected smoothly. And we're prepared to be generous regarding the trust fund situation. Generous with my own money? I laughed. How thoughtful. Estelle. Mom leaned forward, her voice dropping to that syrupy tone she used when manipulating. Think about what this will do to the family, to your father's business, to our reputation. Did you think about that when you laughed while he hit me at graduation? She flinched. I was nervous. You know how I get when your father's upset? And that's supposed to excuse it? Zoe interrupted. Watching your child be abused and laughing? Young lady, this doesn't concern you. Dad pointed his finger at Zoe. Don't point at her, I said sharply. You don't get to intimidate my friends. Intimidate? Dad's voice rose. I've given you everything. Who paid for your education? Grandfather did, I replied calmly. Through his trust. The trust you stole from. His face reddened. That money was to be managed by us. For my graduate studies, I finished. Not your new boat. We deserve something for raising you, Mom interjected. Professor Martinez laughed coldly. Raising her? From what I've heard, you barely managed that. Who is this woman? Dad demanded. This is private family business. Again with the family business, I sighed. Abuse isn't family business, it's a crime. We're offering a very generous settlement, their lawyer tried again. Full repayment of the trust fund, plus additional funds for therapy. I don't want your money, I said. I want justice. Dad slammed his fist on the table. This is ridiculous. After everything we've done for you, what exactly have you done for me, Dad? Besides teaching me that love comes with bruises? I made you strong, he hissed. The world isn't kind, Estelle. I prepared you. No, I shook my head. You broke me. They put me back together. I nodded toward Zoe and Professor Martinez. So that's it? Mom's voice cracked. You're choosing strangers over your own parents? I'm choosing myself, I corrected. For the first time. Dad stood suddenly, his chair scraping back. This ends now. Drop these charges, or I swear to God. Are you threatening her? Professor Martinez stood too. In a courthouse? With witnesses? Dad's face contorted with rage. You ungrateful little... He lunged across the table, hands outstretched. The bailiff moved faster than I thought possible, restraining my father as he continued shouting threats. I think we're done here, my lawyer said calmly. And you've just added witness intimidation to the charges. 6 months later, I sat in the gallery of the courtroom, watching as my father was sentenced to 18 months in prison for assault, witness intimidation, and financial fraud. My mother received probation and mandatory counseling for her role as an accessory. Outside the courthouse, reporters gathered as we descended the steps. Estelle, one called out, how do you feel about the verdict? Before I could answer, Aunt Grace appeared at my side, linking her arm through mine. She feels vindicated, Grace said firmly, and she's not alone anymore. Will you be making a statement about domestic violence? Another reporter asked. Actually, yes, I stepped forward. What happened to me wasn't rare or special. It happens in houses that look perfect from the outside, behind closed doors where no one intervenes. Do you forgive your parents? Someone shouted from the back. I paused, considering the question. Forgiveness isn't something owed to abusers. Accountability is. My parents had every opportunity to apologize, to change, to make amends. Instead, they doubled down, threatened me, and tried to manipulate the people around me. So no, I don't forgive them. Trent approached, carrying a stack of papers. It's all done. The trust has been transferred to your name only. You have full control. Thanks, Trent. I squeezed his hand. For everything. I should have seen it sooner, he said quietly. We all should have, Aunt Grace added. But we're here now. Later that evening, our small group gathered at Zoe's apartment. Detective Reyes had joined us, along with Professor Martinez and my new therapist, Dr. Kim. To Estelle, Zoe raised her glass. The bravest person I know. I don't feel brave, I admitted. I feel unfinished, like I'm still figuring out who I am without their voices in my head. That's exactly what bravery looks like, Dr. Kim smiled. Continuing the journey even when the path isn't clear. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. The first contact since the sentencing. Is that her? Detective Reyes asked, noticing my expression. I nodded, reading aloud. I hope someday you'll find it in your heart to understand we only wanted what was best for you. Dad's sorry too, in his way. In his way, Zoe scoffed. What does that even mean? It means he's not sorry at all, I said, putting the phone away without responding. And neither is she. What are your plans now? Professor Martinez asked, changing the subject. Grad school in the fall, I smiled. Psychology, focusing on family trauma, and I'm volunteering at the Domestic Violence Center downtown. Full circle, Detective Reyes nodded approvingly. Not full circle, I corrected. New beginnings. Their chapter in my life is closed. I'm writing my own story now. Trent raised his glass. To new stories. And to the people who help us tell them, I added, looking around at the faces of those who stood by me. Outside, the city lights twinkled like stars against the darkness. For the first time, I felt the weight lift from my shoulders. Not completely gone, but lighter, manageable. The price of respect had been high, but as I stood surrounded by true family, the kind you choose, the kind that chooses you back, I knew it had been worth every penny. Have you ever had to choose between family obligation and self-respect? What would you have done in Estelle's shoes? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories about finding strength in unlikely places.